Welcome back to Chronicles of Rideshare Drivers for the concluding part of The Night I Called 911 for My Passenger. We're so glad you're here. Let us know where you're watching from in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Duality Hub, to get new stories as soon as they drop. Now let's get into it. The next morning came slow. It always does after a night like that, when your mind is still half in the moment and your body hasn't caught up yet.
I woke up with that foggy heaviness that sits in your chest. You know that feeling when you replay everything that happened, and even though you did all you could, you still wonder, did I really do enough? The house was quiet. The kids were still asleep. The light coming through the blinds was soft, a kind of mercy in itself. I sat on the edge of the bed for a few minutes, just staring at nothing, trying to shake off the weight of last night. Then the smell hit me again. Not from my body, from my memory.
You know how trauma has its own scent? It lingers. That acidic, sour smell of sickness and fear. It felt like it was still trapped somewhere behind my eyes. I made myself a cup of tea and sat by the window. The steam rose in slow curls and I thought about that young man. What was his name again? I'd seen it on the app, but I couldn't even remember. It didn't stick, probably because I never imagined I'd need to remember him this way. I kept thinking, where is he now? Did he wake up at the hospital? Did he call his family? Does anyone even know what happened to him that night? And then another thought followed, one I didn't expect. What if nobody ever called 911 for him before? That hit me, because I realized sometimes people go through life without ever having someone care enough to step in, especially when they're far from home, trying to fit into a new world that doesn't speak their language of worry or warmth. I remembered being new here too, the loneliness, the trying to prove yourself, the pressure to seem fine even when you're breaking down inside. Maybe that's what he was doing, pretending he could handle it. By mid-morning, I drove back to the detailing shop. The guy at the counter recognized me instantly. "Rough night?" he asked. I gave a half smile. "You have no idea." They did a deep clean again, this time with some strong disinfectant. I stood there watching them scrub, wipe, vacuum, polish, like they were erasing the night itself. But no matter how clean the car got, the image stayed in my head. Him sitting there, glassy-eyed, helpless, mumbling apologies through the mess. And I thought, that's how fragile life can be. One wrong choice, one night, one ride, and it could have gone the other way. The rideshare app finally confirmed my reimbursement later that day. They were polite, professional. "Thank you for handling this responsibly," they wrote. I smiled at the message, but part of me felt sad. Because while I got paid for cleaning, I still couldn't clean the memory. That night wasn't about money. It was about humanity, the kind that shows up unannounced, sometimes in the messiest forms. When you drive for hours, you see a lot of faces. Most people are just passengers, quick exchanges of destinations and small talk. But every once in a while, you meet someone who reminds you why you're really here. For me, that young man did that. He reminded me that compassion isn't always convenient. Sometimes it smells bad, takes your sleep, ruins your seat covers, and still asks you to show up with grace. That night became a quiet lesson, one that whispered to me in the car as I drove again the next evening. You never know who God will put in your path, so keep your heart open, and that's what I've tried to do since then. Drive, observe, pray, stay kind. Not every passenger is a good one. Not every night is peaceful. But every shift teaches me something about people and about myself. That night taught me that even when the situation feels small or gross or inconvenient, it can still be holy in its own way, because saving someone, even by accident, is sacred work. Sometimes the ministry doesn't happen in church. It happens on the road, with hazard lights blinking and a prayer under your breath. A few days passed before I could bring myself to drive again. It wasn't fear exactly, just that strange heaviness that lingers after something shakes you up. Every time I looked at the passenger seat, I still saw him. His face pale, his eyes lost somewhere between apology and confusion. It's funny how the car becomes part of you when you do this job. The seats hold your stories. The steering wheel has heard your prayers. The air vents carry traces of the people who've sat beside you, the perfume, the arguments, the laughter, the silence, all of it. So when something like that happens, it's not just a mess you clean up. It's a memory that clings. That night changed something in me. I didn't even realize it at first. But the next time I got behind the wheel, I found myself paying more attention. Not just to traffic or GPS directions, but to people, to their tone, their eyes, the way they breathe. Every passenger became more than a ride. They were someone's child, someone's sibling, someone who might just need a safe space for 20 minutes. And maybe that's what this whole journey is about. Not just driving people from point A to point B, but carrying them safely through a small piece of their story. One night, not long after, I picked up an older woman heading to the airport. She looked tired, worried. She said she was going back home to see her mother who had just fallen sick. I listened. She cried quietly. And when we got there, she said, "Thank you for talking to me. I needed that." I smiled, but inside I thought, this is what it means to be present. That night with the young man taught me that sometimes the job isn't just about getting people where they were going. It's about who you become along the way. I used to see driving as just an extra hustle, a way to make ends meet, maybe catch up on bills, maybe save a little. But after that night, I started seeing it differently. It became ministry. Not the pulpit kind, but the quiet, unseen kind, the one that happens in ordinary spaces, where you're the only person in someone's small crisis, the only witness to their vulnerability, the only voice saying, "You're okay, you're not alone." And that hit me one evening while watching the sunset from the parking lot before another shift. The sky was this deep orange melting into violet, and I just whispered, "God, thank you for trusting me with moments like these." Because it is a kind of trust, isn't it? To be placed in someone's path at their most fragile hour. That night didn't make me bitter, it made me gentler. Now when I drive, I keep wipes and a small first aid kit in the trunk. Not because I expect trouble, but because I've learned that being prepared is part of being compassionate. Every so often, I still think of that young man. I never knew what became of him, but I pray he learned something from that night too. Maybe it humbled him. Maybe it saved him. Maybe both. And me? It reminded me that you don't have to be wearing scrubs to save a life. You just have to be willing to care when it's inconvenient. So I keep driving, headlights on, heart open, radio humming softly, knowing that every ride has its reason. Some nights it's about income. Other nights it's about impact.
Either way, I've learned that God can use even a messy car and a tired nurse just trying to make it through the night to do something holy. And that's enough for me. Thanks for listening.